Hi, all. I'm your Earl Steve, and I'd like to welcome you to a Mead Hall Short. This month is Women's History Month, and in honor of that, I'd like to introduce you to a famous ancestor of mine, who was a very progressive woman in her age. Meet Jean Antoinette Poisson. My father's side of the family, my grandmother's maiden name was Poisson. Poissons show up all over French history. Jean Antoinette is probably one of the most famous of the Poissons. She was born in 1721 to a fairly well-off family. At the age of 5, she was sent off for a high-level education. Unfortunately, she didn't last long there because she had to return home. She was a very sickly woman her entire life. At the age of 9, she was taken to a fortune teller by her mother. And the fortune teller said that she would win the heart of a king. And from then on, she had the nickname Renette. Jean Antoinette, as was common, was married at a young age. At the age of 19, she was married to another wealthy family. Through that wealthy family and her husband's position, she was able to start attending many of the great salons of Paris, where she crossed paths with many of the elite in the coming Enlightenment movement, among others Voltaire. She was known to be very intelligent, sharp of wit, and charming, as well as beautiful. She was also extremely ambitious. See, Jean Antoinette was not simply happy to just be the wife of a wealthy man. She wanted to be more. And she set her sights on the highest position a woman could hope for in society at that time, and that was the chief mistress to the king. Yes, that's right. There was a position in the royal court for a chief mistress. Unlike today, where we think of a mistress as a man cheating on his wife, he has a woman on the side, and she's his mistress. In the French court, the king had an official mistress. Marriages were always arranged for kings. They were more about diplomacy and securing alliances, and King Louis XV's marriage was no different. The queen was there to secure that alliance and produce heirs. That's not to say that some kings didn't end up loving their wives, their queens. But in most cases, it was more simple respect. They knew their positions and they knew what they had to do. So the king was allowed a mistress. And Jean Antoinette wanted to be that mistress. The current mistress at the time warned her off. But Jean Antoinette, as I said, was quite ambitious. During a hunting expedition that happened to be near her estate, she was told that she could follow the king's entourage, but only at a distance from behind, and only because it bordered on her estate. But that wasn't good enough for her. She was bound and determined to catch the king's eye. So not only did she drive in front of his procession once, but twice. And she did end up catching his eye. In fact, he gifted her venison from the hunt. Not long after that, the chief mistress to the king did die. And that position was open. And she did manage to secure that. Now, as the chief mistress, she was not just the king's side piece. She actually, again, being very ambitious, very intelligent, managed to become his greatest advisor and also his greatest love. She became so influential in the court that she actually drew a lot of ire and also made many political enemies because she was shaking up society. She was considered an advisor to the king, and she attended meetings with ministers, things that women would never have done at that point in time. But the king allowed it because he loved her. She was also very smart and made sure to secure her position with the royal family by making sure that they liked her. She became so close with the queen actually made her lady-in-waiting, and through that also became a duchess. She was better known as the Madame de Pompadour, or the Marquise de Pompadour. She continued to be a significant advisor to the king, as well as now, because she was the lady-in-waiting to the queen, she became pretty much the de facto prime minister for France. In fact, she was so influential that when the King of Austria wanted to secure an alliance, he went to her, not to the ambassadors, not to the king, first. And that resulted in one of the first treaties of Versailles. Now, there's a lot more to talk about with her. She was a patron of the arts. She was an artist herself. She's well known for porcelain, also did engraving, and she had a vast book collection. She was an extremely intelligent and well-read woman. Unfortunately, she died at a young age in 1764 at the age of 42 from tuberculosis. Voltaire himself was said to have mourned her passing by saying that it was unfair that he, an old doddering man who had lived far beyond his lifespan, was still alive when a wonderful woman with such great potential like her had left. Now, there's a lot more to talk about Jeanne Antoinette Poisson, the Madame de Pompadour, and I encourage you to go and read up a little bit more about her. She's a controversial figure for a variety of reasons. Among other things, she's blamed for France losing its position as a colonial power and losing the colonies in America. However, she also was known to have great influence on some of the great financial ministers of France and made the country one of the wealthiest in the world. But there you have it. My ancestor, Jeanne Antoinette Poisson, the Madame de Pompadour, and a very, very progressive woman for her age. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it encourages you to go find out a little bit more about my famous relative. As always, Skål.